Welcome back to Cooking with Friends. So today we are making my Nana's very famous fried ribs. I know that a lot of people always do pork chops, but growing up she's always fried ribs and smothered them in gravy, and this is something that would be so good and so tasty for your family that it's like one of the things that I'm going to highly recommend you trying. So I always use the St. Louis style ribs. I got these from Publix. It was $10 for the slab. Typically most times they have them on sale. Sometimes you can catch for $7. You're going to need some flour, seasoned salt, garlic powder, black pepper. You're going to need onions and peppers for the gravy, and that's really about it. So I'm about to clean and wash and season my meat, and then I'll meet you guys on the stove. Okay, so now I have cleaned and cut up all of the ribs. I'm going to go ahead and season them. So first I like to just put down the seasoned salt, and then you just put down your garlic. You either do garlic powder or granulated garlic, it does not matter. Black pepper. And then I'm also going to season the flour. That's very important when you're frying anything. The food needs to be flavored from the outside to the inside, okay? Because nobody wants to eat anything that doesn't have flavor when they first bite down into it. So you just need a little bit of flour, and I'm going to toss these in a plastic bag. But if I normally I do this in a paper bag, old fashioned, okay? But I don't have that today. So you put some flour in there, and then you just season it. You don't need too much, because remember, you already seasoned the ribs. And actually on these ribs, I'm actually going to throw in some Mrs. Dash as well. So throw the original Mrs. Dash. This is one of my favorite seasonings, as you guys know. And then you're going to go ahead and start seasoning your flour. So I'm going to put down just a little bit seasoned salt and black pepper. That's all you need for your flour. And you're going to shake that up. And once you mix everything together, you're just going to toss it in your flour, and then you'll be ready to fry. Grease is already hot. So like I said, I went ahead and tossed some of my, I don't want to get too close to this grease, but I went ahead and tossed some of the ribs already in the flour. And when you're getting it out the bag, you want to, can't really show y'all, but you got to shake off the excess. And then you go ahead and place it right on in. You just shake it off. And you're going to fry these until it's golden brown. And then next I'll show you guys how to do the gravy, so that you can smother some of these in gravy if some of your family members want them in gravy. And if some of them don't, honestly, they're ready to eat as soon as it comes out of the grease. So let me finish this off, and then I'll show you guys how to make the gravy next. I have fried up all of the ribs. As you see, they are nicely golden brown, and we are about to go ahead and start on our gravy. So to start with your gravy, you want to put down the oil. You can either use olive oil, I'm gonna use a little bit of vegetable oil. I'm gonna go ahead and put that down. And then you're going to go ahead and sprinkle in the flour. So a lot of people always tell me when they make gravy that the flour always like lumps together. And this is the reason why. You have to sprinkle that flour down and whisk it really, really fast. So you just want to sprinkle it. And like I eyeball this, y'all, so I can't really measure it. I can just tell you how it look, you know. Fortunately, old lady taught me how to cook, and you know, if you got a grandma, she ain't in there measuring. So yeah, you just want to whisk it around. So the thing with this is, some people like their gravy to be this color. Me, I don't. I want some brown gravy when I'm, you know, about to put my ribs back in it. But the thing about it is, you don't want it to burn. So you want to keep making sure that you're, you know, whisking it around like how I'm doing with this fork. Now I'm going to go ahead and add in just a little bit more flour. And I'm going to continue to whisk this around. So I'm going to keep whisking this around until it gets to the color of my liking. Like I said, it's totally up to you. This isn't all the way done, even if you do stop it from this point, because flour does have to cook down. It is still flour, so still whisk it around a little bit, even if you don't want it to be as dark as this. At this point, I'm going to go ahead. You have to add a liquid. Some people like to add water. Some people can add milk, but I like to do a chicken broth when I'm adding it. So as you add it in, you want to whisk it. You want to make sure you get all of that and make sure you're whisking it. And I'm going to go ahead and turn the fire up a little bit. And actually, I'm going to switch over and get my whisk. Because you want to make sure you don't have any lumps in this. I'm gonna grab my whisk here. That's why you want to add your liquid in slowly first. You don't want to add it all in at one time because you want to make sure it doesn't lump up. And I do like to switch to a whisk at this part. And I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more. Don't be afraid to add the liquid and think that it's not going to be thick, because you're still going to let this simmer. And from here, I'm going to go ahead and actually, I'm going to add in a little bit more. Because like I said, this is going to simmer and cook down. And I have quite a few ribs, so I'm not going to put all of them in gravy, but majority of them. So I'm going to let this simmer. But before I let it simmer, from this point, I'm going to go ahead and season the gravy. I was about to say flour, but season your gravy. You only need salt and pepper. You don't need too much of a fancy anything into this, because it already still has the flavor from when your ribs were cooking in here. I'm just going to whisk that together. And don't forget about your onions and your peppers that we cut up earlier. You're going to go ahead and throw those in. This is going to give your gravy even more flavor. And I'm going to turn this up and just let this simmer. And let it come to a boil first, and then I'm going to let it simmer, and then we're going to add our ribs, some of our ribs, back inside of your mix. Ribs into the gravy, and as you guys see, it has came to a boil. So at this point, I'm just going to flip them around in the gravy, and I'm going to put the top on and just cut it down and let them start to simmer in the gravy. And the gravy, I don't know if you guys can tell, but the gravy is getting thick. It's going to get thick anyway because you're adding fried back into the gravy, but it's going to be thick anyway. But just cut it down on the simmer and then just let it simmer, and then it'll be nicely done, and then we're ready to plate. Have it the full meal. You have your fried ribs smothered in gravy, and I did go ahead and pair it with some kale and some homemade mashed potatoes. I hope that you guys really enjoyed this tutorial, because these ribs are amazing. And let me tell you something, when you make them for your family, they're going to love them. From the kids to your husband, even if you are a man making it for your wife or your girl, if you want to eat a showstopper, this is it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video. And make sure to be sure to tag us if you make it.